And it's absolutely true. I feel it now. I mean, as a mom going into summertime mode in my business with the kids around and our schedule is different, I'm really starting to pay more attention to, getting away from this rhetoric of like, what are the goals, and really clearing my mind to say, if I had to focus on just like two or three things that are the hugest needle movers for my business, what would that be? Have you found yourself in the middle of the year and feeling totally off track to where you thought you would be at this time? Well, if that's you, this episode is for you. It actually is the second part in a two-episode series talking all about how to do a mid-year review for your business and how to get your business back on track. So, if you didn't catch last week, I would encourage you to go back. We talked about the first three of five steps that you can do to kind of get your business back on course. So, I would encourage you to go back and listen to that episode because I go into bigger detail on each of these points, but I'm going to go through them really quick. Um, First step and really getting back on track that we talked about last week is really assessing your performance of your team, your data metrics, everything that you've been doing so far in your business up until this point mid-year. Really look at all of the data on and through this like lens of this larger data set to really get a handle on where you are right now performance wise, paying close attention to any of those things that are off track, off course, and revisiting your goals and really taking an audit on the activities that you've been doing for the past couple months and being honest with yourself, assessing whether you and your team have really been acting in accordance to what your goals actually are. Okay. Just before I popped on to start recording this episode, I came across a quote from Leila Hormozi, Alex Hormozi's wife and the co-founder of acquisition.com. Obviously, a very experienced entrepreneur. But she said something that really caught my eye. And I think it is so extremely true and very applicable to what we're talking today. And that is lack of focus kills more dreams than lack of resources do. And it's absolutely true. I feel it now. I mean, as a mom going into summertime mode in my business with the kids around and our schedule is different, I'm really starting to pay more attention to, getting away from this rhetoric of like, what are the goals, and really clearing my mind to say, if I had to focus on just like two or three things that are the hugest needle movers for my business, what would that be? And in this step right here, assessing the first one, assessing the performance, right, of your business and your goals, I would say even really kind of start thinking strategically about this idea. What is the focus? You can call them goals, you can make smart goals, you can do whatever you want in terms of how you're planning it, but mentally think like, what am I focused on as a founder? That's really my most important things. And what should my teams really be focused on? The second step in this five-step process is really identifying the opportunities and the challenges. So once you've reconnected with your goals or really identified the things that you personally are focused on and what your team should be focused on, well, then I think that it's the moment to get really real and really say, like, have we been executing things in accordance to what our plan was or what our big focus should be? Because sometimes we get into the groove of our everyday and we're executing things and we're just doing things to do them. And now is really the time to double down and say, like, is every single thing that we are executing, myself included as the founder, as the entrepreneur, working towards the focus that we need to be holding steady on, right? Now is the time. So identifying, the performance, those goals, reconnecting with them, and then really understanding what are the opportunities, right? The opportunities could be to, stop doing something because it's not really contributing to what our main focus is, right? Or redirecting someone's attention to executing something different. Um, or identifying those challenges and then maybe getting some consultants or freelancers or project-based, workers and to kind of help with anything that you're having some challenges on, right? Just get it done once and for all. Things that have been hanging around on your plate, right? So once you've identified those two things, the third step is really getting together with your team and talking about these observations that you've had. Really getting them involved, getting them on board with course correcting the business if that is what is needed, right? And maybe you're not off course at all. Maybe you've been doing great, right? But now is also a time to identify if the actions that you and your team are taking are actually yielding the results, right? Maybe you're steadily working on your goals and you're executing the things that you planned out, but we want to also look at, are we getting the results from the actions that we anticipated, right? Are our projections meeting our actuals? Why or why not? But this is not something at this stage that you only should be thinking about by yourself, that you need to be bringing the team in. And I think this is a really good moment to kind of get serious, double down with your team and really hold them also accountable for making all of this work, right? You're not in this alone. Even if you're working by yourself, like there's community, there's mentorship, there's consultants, teachers that you can lean to really get outside perspective on everything that's going on in your business. Don't be the hero. Use all the resources that you have. And if you do have a team, use your team. Okay. Have them really buy in to what you're working on, what you're trying to push and pull to bring to life into your business, the next level into your business. Right. And doing sessions like this that is not just a goal planning, a normal old goal planning, but come to this mid-year review with more intensity. Uh, because sometimes we need to push a little bit harder and come into the situation with more intensity in order to get more production or more creative ideas or more focus from ourselves and from our team. And I think that this moment right now is a very good moment to do so. Even if you've planned even if you've planned to take your foot off the gas in the summer, which through conversations with a lot of moms I've been talking to, that is the plan, right? You're kind of rearranging your schedule and all the and getting some automations in place or getting some extra hands in your business. So now more than ever to have that focus before you go into that period maybe of being apart from your team or being a little bit inconsistent with meetings and things like that, coming here for a focused moment for this yearly review, really beneficial. So now that we have kind of our team on board and we're kind of really clear on where things have gotten off track or where we may need some support or maybe where we need some more advanced strategies, right? Now is the moment to, again, bring your team together, but we need to also align and course correct on anything that's gone astray. And this may look at either realigning with your goals that you've set out in the beginning of the year or even revamping your goals a little bit. Now, this may feel like a little controversial, but when we create our goals in January, we're not like signing our name in blood to the devil. Like we are the boss, we're the ones in charge. And oftentimes, the smartest thing to do is to look and say, is this goal still relevant? Is this goal still where I should be putting my focus? Because the data, the action that you've taken, the experience that you've gained in these past 6 months leading up to this moment in the year, when we talk about iteration and improvement, we also can iterate and improve on our goals. And we should. We shouldn't just blindly be executing something that we set, a goal we set for ourselves 6 months ago, if maybe now it's not relevant, or you found a better way, or you found a different goal that would be of higher value for you to work on. This has happened to me, just this past 6 months where, I was really focused on a strategy that after executing it consistently for, weeks and weeks, realized and forgot because just as Leila Hormozi pointed out, I had lost focus. So I thought that the action I was executing on was connected to the goal I had set out. But I realized that that particular goal that I was working on needed some refinement and needed some goalposts and some guardrails, a little bit of barriers onto them of exactly what actions would be most beneficial for me to take. So, all of this to say is that yes, you need to be moving fast and testing things and trying things, but don't disregard the information you're getting from those actions. And sometimes you do things and they don't work, or you realize that you're kind of working in the wrong direction. And the best thing you can do is pull yourself back, right? So we want to realign with these goals and really look at areas where we can course correct, right? In my case, for example, and just to let you behind the curtain, like I've been much more focused on social media growth and growing my audience, and especially um, producing better content, right? Um, and I really was focused on this goal of growing audience, but I wasn't really clear enough on what was the one action I was going to do and the one platform I was really going to focus on. And I give this as advice to founders all day long. Focus on one platform first. Learn how to win on one platform. But when you're the captain of the ship, sometimes it's hard, even when you know what the right thing to do is, it's hard to do the right thing when you see other people winning with certain strategies. See other things working, you see the opportunities, and you want to grab hold of them. But quarterly planning, and then especially like mid-year review that we're talking about now, is the moment where you need to have the discipline to rein yourself in and see things for what they really are. And a lot of times having these conversations with your team is where some of these kind of rogue tasks and like rogue like tactics kind of come to light. And you can really be honest with yourself and say like, hey, that wasn't maybe the best decision. Um, and maybe I should have stayed more focused in this area. So reflection is really important now. So that's number 4, course correction and goal alignment. And then number 5 is really where you bring it all together and you strategically plan for the next 6 months, right? I love to look at this mid-year review, and yes, at quarterly reviews, we're planning for the next 90 days. But when we're kind of looking at this mid-year and checking back in with our yearly goals and kind of seeing if they're still 100% applicable, we can take this opportunity to do some strategic planning for the upcoming 6 months. And we can break them down into 90-day kind of sprints and put some really great KPIs, like some trackable metrics attached to them within 90 days. I don't really like setting like 60-day metric, 6 months metrics. I think it's a little bit much, but we can break out the metrics into 90 days, but look at the 6 months that's upcoming and plan strategically for it, right? Now we have all of this data that we've gathered over 6 months to really help inform what's working, what's not working, what do we want to double down on. And now is the time to really make smart decisions so you and your team can stay hyper focused for the next 6 months. So when we get to the end of the year, you can close out the year saying, yeah, like I did it. I did what I needed to do, right? Which is achieving the big things that you wanted to achieve. And I guess like the Leila Hormozi quote resonated so deeply with me because the struggle is real. There's so many different things to execute, especially when it comes to marketing. So having a steadfast focus on what is most important. Forget about like the goals and the metrics. But I think as founders, as leaders in our businesses, even the process of understanding what your focus should be is sometimes not an easy one. And that's why checking back in with it, making sure that it's still right, the temperature is still right on it, is so important. Because when you sit down at your desk and you're getting emails coming in and you're getting, you know, unexpected delays and problems and power outages and whatever, things just not working out the way that you expect them to. The first thing that usually goes is our focus because we're putting out all of these fires. So I really encourage you to take seriously this quarterly, like mid-year planning and review. Take time again, like from last week. Take time to do some reflection on your own and formulate some of your own opinions and ideas of what's been going on, and then bring in your team to go through that process with you. And again, it doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur, okay, do this process by yourself, obviously. Um, but even with a small team, even with one person working on your team, bring them into the fold because your team, right, helps give you power, but it helps power the business, right? We need to, as we grow and mature as business owners, get comfortable with having other people help us and help, you know, move everything along, right? We need to learn to delegate and work as a team because the team ultimately is the one that's going to enable you to grow your business and scale your business. So practicing getting the team in the fold now is incredibly important. Um, but I'll leave you with this, like, don't miss this. I've been talking to a lot of moms, like, if you look on recent posts, like we had some really juicy conversations going on here on LinkedIn of just summer and feeling guilty. Our kids are home from summer, from school, maybe they're at camps, schedules are a little bit wild. And there's this like push and pull of knowing that we're in the middle of the year, that thing, and knowing that we still have such ambitious goals that we want to achieve, you know, to close out 2024. But being in a season where, with schedules being off, with vacations planned, that you're going to get thrown off. And so we're in June now. Um, and this is the moment before things really get into summertime madness. Um, to take a day, dedicate a day to doing this work. I'm actually, as I'm recording this today, taking a 30-minute break to record this because I'm doing this with my own team today because I know the importance of this. And we opened up our planning documents from January, and I was shocked to say, like, what's not applicable now? Like, we've learned so much in the past 6 months, which we all should be learning a ton in our businesses all the time. And I looked at one of the things that were so important to us back in January, and I was like, that doesn't really matter anymore, given what I now understand my main focus to be as an entrepreneur, and in turn, what the focus of my team should be. So take the time. I personally like to reward myself for taking the time because it's really hard to take the time sometimes. So I will like treat myself to a yummy Starbucks beverage at the end of this day as like a little treat for pat on myself on the back for actually doing the work because I feel it. I feel it just like you. Hundreds of emails in the inbox, that Slack messages, and you want to get to all of the things, and you want to you want to help people, you want to forge partnerships, you want to take those sales calls, you want to follow up with the leads, you want to, do all of the things, learn, um, and those things often sweep you away on a wave. And that's what the state a lot of us are in from day to day. But let's not allow focus to kill our dreams. Let's not allow lack of focus to kill our dreams and kill the ambitious goals that we laid out for ourselves. It is possible to get there. Anything is possible for us and our businesses if we keep bringing ourselves back, keep centering ourselves, and focusing on the things that are most important. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I love that you're here. Take the time to do this. I really would love to hear from you too. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'm Victoria Hajar. I hang out on LinkedIn all day long, and I would love to hear from you. Have you implemented a mid-year review in your business? Have you had a hard time staying focused or finding what your focus should be? Let me know. And I would love to invite you onto the show and kind of break down what you're going through and help you work through some of your marketing roadblocks. I would love that. So shoot me a DM. But otherwise, I'll see you back here next week for the Scalable Marketing Machine podcast.